Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 28 of Coffee Time with Byron and my new co-host, Brett. So the show will be called now Coffee Time with Byron and Brett. Thanks for accepting this.
Oh, no problem.
And we got, for this episode, former UFC fighter, Mark Munoz. How are you tonight?
What's going on? Doing well. Doing really well, and thank you for having me on the show.
A pleasure. So let's hop right to it. You were a fighter sent from 07 to, I believe it says, sorry.
2015.
Thank you. 2015. Sorry. See, this is why I'm glad I have my co-host to help back me up on this. So, you were in the era of when UFC was getting good. Same with the WEC. What do you remember most about that transition from when you started in WEC to when you debuted in UFC, knowing that the UFC had bought out WEC?
I literally fought 3 times in about 6 months, and then got called up by WEC, a big promotion. And Uriah Faber was actually the one that was instrumental in a lot of my MMA growth, and he kind of helped me along the way with getting into the WEC, and then I got into the WEC and won there twice, and then the UFC bought out, Zuffa bought out WEC, and then they only took a select number of fighters, and I was one of them to come to the UFC. So then that's when I got into the UFC, and that was, like you said, at a time where the UFC is still growing. I mean, it's still growing now, but there's times where when we were coming through it, we're like, man, we knew that and had faith that the MMA scene was going to grow, but man, and it's grown exponentially since then. It was a great time. It was a really great time, and I was really fortunate to have really good people, really good friends around me, and Uriah Faber, and he actually was very instrumental in helping me along the way, man. So it was a lot of fun.
Yes. In the UFC, who would you say was your toughest opponent?
The toughest opponent. Well, I mean, that's they're all tough, but I would say the toughest fight that I had to fight was probably Lyoto Machida. He was a great friend of mine, and we weren't supposed to fight each other. He was supposed to fight Tim Kennedy, and I was supposed to fight Michael Bisping. And Tim Kennedy backed out, Michael Bisping backed out, and we were the only ones that were free to fight and were ready. And so the UFC naturally put us together where we didn't want to fight each other, But then it just, we were training together, and it was just a difficult fight, So that was a tough time, and kind of at that time, So, our jiu-jitsu coaches were split, and Henry Gracie split, and then our striking coach, which was Rafael Cordero, ended up going in his corner, and that was, for me, it was just like, oh man, the guy knows all about me, So, and we didn't really get to spar full out. We just did jujitsu and wrestling, so I felt like I had that there, but it all starts on your feet. So yeah, fought that fight, and he ended up getting me in the first round. Head kicked me, and I wasn't out, but the referee called it, real quick. But yeah, that was a difficult fight for me for sure.
Now, you competed in 2 different divisions, middleweight and light heavyweight. It's a 2-part question. What made you decide to compete in both divisions at different times? And what would you say was the motivation for you to compete in 2 different divisions?
So when I competed at 205, I actually was in the WEC. I fought at 205 there. And then I fought, I fought at 205, getting up to, so 205 at the WEC, and then when I went to the UFC, my very first fight was 205, and that was against Matt Hamill. When Matt Hamill stepped on the scale, I saw how big he was. Like he was huge, And I'm barely getting into it, and my reach isn't that long, and I felt like I can get down to 185, and so I already put myself at a big disadvantage when I stepped out there, because my striking, I was just getting started. I think just barely over a year training, and I got into the UFC. So my very first fight was Matt Hamill, and so Matt Hamill was going to be a great fight for me. He's a wrestler, and I don't see him, being that well-rounded as far as a striker, so I was like, this is a perfect fight for me. So I fought at 205, and quickly noticed that, I needed to drop down to 185, because he had the size advantage for sure. So I dropped down to 185 and stayed at 185 pretty much my whole career.
How would you feel that early, collegiate wrestling and high school wrestling helped you in your later career in the UFC and mixed martial arts?
Well, if you look at the sport of wrestling and the sport of mixed martial arts, with wrestling as one of your kind of expertise,
bread and butter.
Yeah, you could, if you're a striker, you can keep it on the feet because you can go sprawl and brawl, or if you're a wrestler, you can get inside and take somebody down and use your ground and pound to win. So wrestling is the great neutralizer when it comes to jiu-jitsu, ground fighting, and striking, because you can put it to the ground or stay up to your feet if someone's trying to take you down. So,
I would think it would be very advantageous to have that kind of background.
Yeah, so wrestling, if you look at all the champs right now, they all have a wrestling background, in the UFC. A lot of them do, even GSP said, wrestling is the most important discipline in mixed martial arts. And he actually learned how to wrestle. He was a striker first, learned how to wrestle, and getting Daniel Gali, who is an Olympic champion, to train with him every day, So yeah, he quickly knew that wrestling was
Now, I know this was before you actually started with WEC and UFC. We all started out as fans, just like we are to this day, and I know you still are to this day. Would you say that the best fight ever in the UFC was between Stephan Bonnar and Forrest Griffin at Ultimate Fighter 1? Do you think that was the one that put the UFC over?
That was a great fight, for sure. You know, I think a lot of eyes were on that fight. Yeah, that fight went back and forth. I remember that fight, and they were just going at it. I think that fight did help, but there was a lot of other great fights too. You know, you think about Frankie Edgar and the Great Maynard trilogy. That was, you know, if you think about Rich Franklin's fights, Michael Bisping's fights. I mean, it's just there's been a lot of great fights in the UFC, and the UFC puts on great fights that you want to see. You know, it's not that in boxing it's so political, I guess. You know, to be able to get the matchups you want. You know, so in the UFC they put together matchups that the audience wants to see. You know. And so, yeah, man, I believe that it was a great fight, and it helped put the UFC on the map. But at the same time, there's a lot of good fights to be able to do that as well.
So what ultimately got you, or would you say what specific era of UFC growing up got you loving the sport and wanting to be in it?
You know, for me, I wrestled, you know, for a very long time, and I got a job at UC Davis, and when I was there, Uriah Faber was just graduated and was an assistant coach on the team, and Uriah Faber is a UFC Hall of Famer, you know, one of the good guys in the sport, and he basically just introduced me to the sport and said, "Hey, Munoz, you need to get into it." I'm like, "No, man, I'm teaching, coaching, getting my master's, got a wife and 3 kids and one on the way." I'm like, "Dude, there's no way I'll have time to be able to do this." And he just stayed on me, and finally invited me out to his gym, taught me some jiu-jitsu. Then I learned some Muay Thai, and then he introduced me to the guys over at Fairtex in San Francisco. Training over there, and then he brought me in for a sparring session against like Randy Couture, Brandon Vera, Quinn Rampage Jackson, Tito Ortiz, Frank Trigg, like the who's who of the UFC at the time, James Irvin, Scott Smith. It was unbelievable. And went there, I was like, oh my gosh, these are all killers. And I ended up going with Randy Couture, and did really well. And Randy goes, "Hey, you really need to consider doing mixed martial arts." And Uriah slapped me on the chest. He goes, "Yeah, I told you, bro." And so I decided to go from there, and now I'm known as the Filipino wrecking machine. You know, so yeah, I mean, I was ranked. I was ranked as high as number 2 in the world, and knocking on the door to become, knocking on the door to fight for a world title. But hey, man, I mean, it wasn't in my cards, and I think I started the sport late too, so I didn't get into the UFC until I was 30. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of guys that start now,
a lot of younger guys.
But yeah, man, I just I retired because I felt like my family needed me more, and now my son's got a full ride scholarship to Arizona State. My daughter's studying to be a missionary in Hawaii, and married and pregnant, so I'm gonna be a grandpa.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And it's life has been a lot simpler. I mean, there's still gonna be a lot of things going on in your life, but at the same time, I'm not traveling not as much as I used to, but I'm still traveling a little bit to do appearances here and there and stuff, but not like when I was in the UFC. It was crazy. I was never home. My family really needed me,
right.
So that's the whole reason why I retired, man. A lot of people ask if I'm ever going to come back, but I think.
Nah, sounds like you have the good life right now.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And I train some MMA fighters in the morning at the training lab, and I coach wrestlers here at Fairmont Academy, the new school I'm coaching at. So I'm starting to get kids in, and looking forward to building this program. So Fairmont Athletic Academy, right here.
There you go. There you go.
Nice.
Fairmont Athletic Academy.
Shout out. There you go. I like that.
So, yeah. I mean, I'm here now, and look, man, I just got my cards. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. There you go. That's nice to have too.
Just got my cards. So
there you go. So say now that you're coaching and you're enjoying it, if the UFC asked you to announce or become a coach for them, like some I think, or basically for a top team or something like that, would you leave the school to go do that, or would you stay to what you're doing now?
good question. Just all depends. They're gonna show me the money.
I guess cross that bridge when it comes.
I got a pretty good year. I can't. I mean, I got a pretty good year. I get to do what I love and use wrestling as a vehicle to be able to impact lives, and that's just what I do, man. I love doing that stuff, and I love wrestling. I love MMA. I get to still do that in the mornings. So I'm living a good life, man. I am.
So you lost your debut fight to Matt Hamill, as you said, with a straight kick. Then you came back in your next fight, and it was a decision fight. What do you remember most about that fight against Nick Catone?
Nick Catone is a great competitor. He actually owns a gym out there in, I believe it's like on the East Coast in New Jersey, I believe, somewhere out there. But man, he was a competitor, and I hit him so hard I felt like he was gonna, he was gonna give up. But man, he just was a competitor, man. He hit me too. So, but it was a great fight. We went all 3 rounds, and I ended up getting a unanimous decision there, and ended up doing really well. So yeah, that was definitely one of my memorable fights for sure.
What was your favorite fight? Your favorite opponent?
Man, I had a lot of favorite fights, man. Chris Levin was a favorite fight of mine. Damian Maia was another favorite fight. Tim Boach was another favorite fight. I just named a few there, but yeah, I mean, if you look that up on Fight Pass, you'll definitely see why those are.
Oh, I have that alright. I'm going to be tuning into those fights because I'm watching every single pay-per-view. Not every day, but I've gone through 1 to now I'm at 23, so I'm getting up there.
Nice. Yeah, when you get up to the hundreds, I headlined, some fights, and as the main event, in a lot of fights. So I mean, we'll see where I'll be at there. So make sure you tag me if you post that.
Definitely, will do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I want to ask you about putting the fight into the judges. I know, unfortunately, most fighters look to submit and or KO, knockout. But unfortunately, when they do go to decision, do you fighters worry about putting it in the hands of judges who can screw up a fight? Because I've watched many of fights that have gone decision, and the judges just totally mess it up. Do you fighters worry about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, anytime it goes to the hands of the judges, I mean, everyone always says, don't let it go to the hands of the judges, you know? So, you know, I mean, after every fight, you know, I actually won a lot of decision fights, you know, because I went out there and I tried to get a knockout or a submission or something. You know, I didn't go out there just to score points. I wanted to finish guys, you know, so a lot of times if I went to decision, I won that decision, you know. You either had to knock me out or choke me out to win, you know. And so, you know, it's you know, for me, that's you know, a lot of people said I was a very entertaining fighter, you know. So, but yeah, to answer your question, man, you never want to keep it. You never want to put it in the hands of the judges because, man, sometimes I don't know what they're ever watching. You know, it's like, what are you watching? Like, what in the world? But you know, it is what it is, and you know, I mean, you definitely have to. So I train my fighters to be able to fight based upon the scoring system, because yes, you want to finish the fight with a submission knockout, but if it doesn't go there, you want to be able to know you have the striking component down, the grappling component down, the aggression, and the cage control. You need to have those 4 criteria. If you have those 4 criteria, then if it goes down to a decision, then you have the unanimous decision. You know, so so I base my coaching style upon those 4 criteria, so that we can, you know, if it goes down to decision, most likely we'll get the nod there. You know, so yeah, man. I mean, it's tough because, you know, judges, I don't know if they're like qualified or not, but I don't know. I can't tell you. You know, I don't know how they pick the judges sometimes.
Does the athletic commission tell you anything about that? Most athletic commissions, that's who picked the judges, I believe.
For sure. No, they don't ever tell us.
Now, were you ever close in your career to a championship fight that you know you really wanted in your career? Because you said you unfortunately didn't get to ever fight for a title, but
yeah,
were you close though? How close did you come?
It was, you know, I fought Chris Weidman. That was about when he gave me this scar on my forehead right here. You know, gave me the scar. You know, and then he fought for the title, won the title. Then I fought Lyoto Machida. He fought for the title, won the title. And I fought Gegard Mousasi. You know, he fought for the title. You know, and you know, it was just. Oh, I fought Damian Maia. You know, I mean, it just like there was like times where it was like if I just, you know, if I just won one of those fights, I would have fought for a title, you know? So
yeah, you were pretty close.
It is what it is, man. I mean, not a lot of people know the circumstances I was in. Man, I was cutting a lot of weight, and there were times where I didn't think I'd make weight, but I made weight. I always make weight, and there were times where I lost 60 pounds, you know? I can't. You know, 50, 60 pounds, you know, and then on the day of fight, I mean, the week of fight week, I would lose sometimes 25 to 30 pounds, you know, so, and that's significant weight, you know, so I would head into the fight like, just like, oh crap, you know, but yeah, man, I mean, that's the type of, that's what you have to work on, you know, and being a professional, you got to be able to like, you know, keep those in line, you know, and make sure you're doing all the right things. you know.
So how long you been teaching, coaching?
Here, all right, let's see if I've been here for probably about 4 months now.
4 months?
Yeah,
Not a long time.
yeah, not a long time, but I mean, it's I love it here. It's a great job, great gig, and like I said, man, this is a new job, and I'm trying to build a program, and I got 7 national champions that are coming to me next year.
Sweet.
So we're going to be a powerhouse in the sport of wrestling for sure sometime soon.
Now, take us through your pay when you were with the UFC. How did they do it? Especially when they had fight of the night honors. Did you fighters always want to get those kind of honors for more pay raise? How did that go about for each fight or championship fight? How was the pay?
I mean, you definitely were contracted for a certain amount. And your managers or whoever negotiated that for you. And sometimes if you win a fight, you get bonuses. You get fight of the night bonus, knockout of the night bonus, submission of the night bonus. You definitely want to get those bonuses because that's more money. So, but the more I think, the more that the fans want to see you, the higher the pay raise for you.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And so when I started headlining fights, I started to re-up my contract and started making significantly more than I was making. And so you just got to you just got to put button seats. If you put button seats, then the UFC will reward you. So if they want to see you fight, then that's what it is. I mean, it's a business. If you can get up there and do, and the UFC is going to reward you that way.
Right.
That's pretty much how it is.
Pretty much same thing with any sport. Put butts in the seats and you raise your pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you were competing in the welterweight division, was there a fighter that you would have loved to fight? And how would you have visioned in your mind how that outcome would have went?
Well, obviously he would win. Who's that fighter though?
What?
Who's that fighter that you just really wanted to fight but never got a chance to?
Oh man, I fought pretty much everybody, that I wanted to fight. I mean, I would say Bruce Lee, probably. I would love to have fought Bruce Lee.
Lofty aspirations.
Yeah, man. Shoot. I mean, the thing is, I owned a gym called Rain Training Center, and at Rain, I had a lot of the top fighters come to me. Fabricio Werdum, Vanderlei Silva, Anderson Silva. I had Michael Bisping. I had Chael Sonnen. I had, Uriah Hall, Jay Silva. I had Jake Ellenberger, Brendan Schaub, Jack May. I mean, I had so many great fighters in my gym, and sometimes world champions, and so I was able to train with all of them, and I knew I can compete with the best out there, because I was doing really well with all of them, so but when it comes to thinking about a fighter that I would like to fight or I would have liked to fight, I mean, I'm saying like I would have fought anybody, and I did fight everybody. Everybody that they presented to me, I never said no, So, and I know a lot of times there's fighters that say no to some fights, but I never said no. Even when I was supposed to fight Lyoto and I was training Lyoto, I wasn't able to say no to that fight. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I always, whoever they picked for me, I fought them.
Would you have liked to fight Vitor Belfort?
Hey, that would have been awesome to fight him. Because he would blitz me and I would shoot for a double leg. And I see myself playing the Donkey Kongas on his head. So so that's just what I do.
So take us through your Michael Bisping fight when you fought him.
I never fought Michael Bisping.
Oh, you never did? Oh, okay, sorry, yeah, my bad. Oh, you were replaced. Sorry, that's where I got that wrong. Sorry. So then sorry, my fault. So then it looks like then you...
He's actually a great friend of mine now, man.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, really good guy, man. I like Michael a lot. Yeah, so we were supposed to fight. He came to my gym to be a part of my team.
Is he still fighting to this day, or is he now an announcer?
He's retired. He's an analyst now. Yeah, he's doing that now, and he's great guy, man. Really good guy.
Now, tell us, you were set to fight Chael Sonnen on the UFC on Fox in 2012. What happened to that?
I believe Chael got injured and pulled out of that fight. So honestly, like, Chael and I are friends. And I didn't want to fight him either. Honestly, we were managed by the same manager. So it was, I didn't mind that at all, because I didn't want to find my friend. I hate finding my friends.
Well, you probably obviously weren't hoping for an injury, but you're like, yes.
Yeah, I was like, dang, that's good.
Did you have that one distinct fight though that you did not like the opponent? Did you ever have a rivalry with an opponent?
Never. Never. Most of the time, I fought somebody that trained with me. Yeah. So, I was actually voted the nicest guy in the UFC, actually. So.
There you go.
Yeah, I saw that.
There you go.
If you look that up, you'll see my name. But I legitimately love everybody. Even if I fought them, like, it's all good to me. They might have punched me in the face or knocked me out or choked me out, but it's like, hey, there's water underneath the bridge, man.
Hey, it's all for the fans. It always amazes me that y'all can be friends and touch gloves beforehand, and you guys kick the shit out of each other, and then you're all friends and afterwards.
Yeah, that's how it was.
So it's not like a real fight where you're trying to kill someone. You're just trying to win.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to knock them out, though.
Well, yeah, but not like a street fight.
But they're trying to do the same thing to me, and we engage in a sport that allows that. So you have to, because if you don't do it, they'll do it to you.
Yeah. Did you have a most memorable knockout that you remember?
Oh man, yeah, there was a couple. Ryan Jensen was a good one. Yeah, that was a one hitter quitter there. I hit him and he fell down. There was, and then I fought a lot of the top 5 guys in the world after that. So I'd say Ryan Jensen.
Now, do you know right away when you knock somebody out, or does the ref kind of pull the fight too quickly? How does that work out when you think you knock somebody out, but then
you're like, I still want to go.
Right. Right.
Well, the saying goes, when if you knock somebody down, you wait till the referee pulls you off.
Smart advice.
You don't stop.
Yeah,
until the referee pulls you off.
Just go until, basically what you said. Go until someone stops it.
Yep.
Because you never know, if you do hesitate, that could be the end.
Exactly.
You could lose.
And they can come back. So, yeah.
So now let's talk about that fight that you had with Weidman that you brought about your scar.
Yeah.
What do you remember most about that fight besides that scar?
In the first round, I actually had a broken foot going into that fight. Didn't even know. In that fight, like, I tried to run on a treadmill, and I was like, "Oh, my foot hurts. Gosh dang it!" So I had to tape up my foot, and so I taped it up to make it feel better. And then I actually walked to the cage with my foot taped, and then actually on the back, they told me I gotta take off the tape. I'm like, "No, man, this is actually helping me." They're like, "No, you can't." The commission told me I couldn't. So I was like, "Dang it!" So in that fight, I remember, like, trying to go after him and trying to fake a shot and come with my strikes. And I was this close, literally this close from landing my overhand right. And actually, when I was there, when I was about to land my right, he landed elbow and landed right here and knocked me out. So yeah, that was nuts. Like, and I don't remember anything after that. I think he had like 22 unanswered punches to my head, like really, really hard. And thank goodness. I mean, there was probably some residual damage. I don't know, but I can still hold a conversation with you, So which is pretty good, But at the same time, like, that was a fight where my family was like, "Oh man, we don't want you fighting anymore."
So that was one of your last?
No. I mean, I fought 5 years after that. So I made it back up to the top 3 in the world, and I fought Lyoto, and then won again, and I fought Gegard Mousasi, and then won again, and I fought. It was just like. It was like an up and down thing, like I was still ranked in the top 5 in the world, but was never ever able to fight for a title, which kind of gets me,
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But hey, it is what it is, man. I mean, I look at my family now, and I'm like, hey man, that's where it's at for me, So I'm able to do what I love now, man. I mean, I'm sitting in this office, and I coach kids and impact lives, and coach fighters and impact their lives. I get to do what I love to do, man. And I would say I'm one of the coaches out there that people seek out and want to get coached by. So yeah, I'm very blessed to be wherever I'm at now.
And now you were in the era of Brock Lesnar. Was he as controversial of a fighter, and was he hated to most of the fighters, if you can recall any of that?
No, man. I mean, I knew Brock when he wrestled at Minnesota. Brock is a good dude, man. But it's all about kidding butts in the seats, right? And he did just that.
Yeah. He's good at that.
The dude, huge, like huge. And who would not want to see a guy so big like that fight? I mean, the guy was huge, But yeah, man, he was a good guy, man. He really was. But he was a big money fight. A lot of people wanted to see whoever fought Brock Lesnar.
Well, he was cross-promotional. We're both huge wrestling fans, like WWE, and so we have a special interest in him. So that's
big. So, yeah.
Was he? Well, was he? Would you say? His fight with his series with Frank Mir? I think he had a series. If I can recall, do you think his rivalry with Frank Mir, that was a legit rivalry until they fought? I think they fought twice, and then after that there was like I think some respect. But do you think there was like legit heat between them two?
Dislike.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was legit heat, but at the same time, they're there to promote a fight, and that's how it was. I mean, in that moment when someone's talking trash to you, and with them having the pride that they have, they're not going to just sit there and take it, You know what I'm saying? So they legitimately we're like gonna kill each other, even in those interviews, but I mean, it is what it is, I think they have respect for each other now after they fought, so that's just a fight game, man.
It's amazing how often that happens.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like each other, like really don't, then they fight and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have some respect.
Now, how did you promote your fights? What'd you say or do to help promote your fights?
You consider yourself a big trash talker, or were you pretty quiet, let the other guy talk?
Yeah, I let the other guy talk and I respond, and I just let my fist do the work,
Pretty much let your training take over and be like, say what you want to say. It's just, we'll settle it in the ring.
That's what I did.
Now, like you said, you fought Tim Boach. What do you remember about that fight?
Remember that I hit him so hard and he wouldn't go away. There was a time where I was standing over the cage. I was standing over him, and his butt was on the ground. His back was against the cage. I put my hand on top of his head, and I just went for the biggest uppercut, like a wrecking ball, and landed that. And I was like, wow, he took that,
tough SOB.
Tough guy, So I remember having him on the ground and just beating him up, beating his leg up, or beating his side up, punching his face. He just kept coming, I think I have the highest percentage of punches landed ever in the UFC.
With that fight, yeah.
It was in that fight. If you watch that fight, you'll see every punch landed, pretty much. It was like 95% of all my punches were landed in that fight.
That's a damn high number.
Now, I'm going to ask you the same thing. I asked former fighter Mike Pierce, who I also had on the podcast as well. How did the contracts work out for fighters? Were you out of your contract if you lost 2 in a row? How did that work out?
Well, it's like I said, man. There were times where I lost twice in a row, but they kept me, But they liked me because I had a market, I had the Filipino market that they wanted,
right?
Right. They want to unlock, So you have to set yourself apart from the rest of the field, just like anything else, Like what sets you apart from everybody else? You gotta determine that. You gotta go out and do those things, so that you can market to those people and put butts in seats, If you lost 3 times and you're barely even talked about, then they don't want you back, If you're a boring fighter, they don't want you back, That's pretty much it, So they want exciting fights, and that's pretty much, it's a business, That's why you're able to be in the UFC,
When you retired, did they want you back, or did they let you go? Just it's your decision.
They know if it's your last fight, they're respectful, and they just like
They respect your decision.
Yeah, they respect the decision.
Good.
So, yeah.
Did you know it was your last fight when you took your last fight? Did you know that was going to be, or did you want to just fight some more?
Yes. No, it was my last fight. I was. My son was in 8th grade. My daughter was already in high school, and I had 2 younger girls that were growing up fast. And my wife and I were just talking about finances the whole time. I own Rain Training Center, and it was just like never home. And my kids were having behavioral issues. My son said, "Dad, I want to quit soccer and baseball, and I want to wrestle, and I want you to coach me." So he basically said, "Dad, I want to be like you, and
spend more time together.
I want you to be around." And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I broke down, started crying. I was like, you know what, I'm done. My son wants me, my wife wants me, my daughters want me, and I'm done. So I announced my retirement after my son said that, because that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I just said, I'm done. And then now, like I said before, my son's got a scholarship at Arizona State. My daughter's married and having a kid, and she's in Hawaii. And my youngest girl, she's wrestling with me, and my daughter is thriving in school, and all my daughters thrive in school. All my kids thrive in school. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to have the life I have and the kids I have, man. So. Decided to put they said wherever you put your time is where your heart is, right? And so my time was put in MMA, and that's where my heart was, So and it actually hindered a lot of my family life, So now it's like now I'm focused on my family, and I'm able to thrive in that arena.
Two quick questions before we let you go, because we're got 7 minutes left. According to this, you're acting. Tell us a little about this 2020 film you were in.
Oh, it's all good. I'm in a movie called Lumpia Win the Vengeance. It's actually a sequel of a cult classic, Lumpia. Lumpia 1, but yeah, I'm in this movie, and it has Danny Trio in it. She's a big time actor, and he's Taquito Boy, and I'm Lumpia Man. So we're basically, he's my rival, I guess, in the movie. But yeah, man, it's the movie is based upon a silent Avenger who is me, that likes to stand up for people that can't fight for themselves, and he was bullied in school, and so he now wants to make a safe community, pretty much, so. It's kind of like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. When some crime is happening, he shows up and puts people in webs and puts them in their place. So that's pretty much what I do with lumpia. And lumpia is a Filipino egg roll, golden brown, deep fried in my pocket, because I have a deep fryer in my pocket. And I whip it out and I throw it at my at my adversaries. And so that's the movie.
And last question is, before we let you go, did you watch the last pay-per-view that the UFC had?
262?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did.
Did you have a best fight out of that card?
Ooh, the female fights were amazing. Let's see. Who was on that card?
Michael Chandler and
Michael Chandler and
who was his opponent? I can't think right now. I know Chandler lost.
Yeah.
I can't think right now. I have to look that up.
Yeah, I picked Chandler to win that fight.
Yeah, he was the only fighter that has yet to be in UFC, and I know UFC wanted him so badly, and they finally got him.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Yeah, that was a good card. There was Michael Chandler. There was Edson Barbosa.
Yep.
There was who else was on that card? Gosh, drawing a blank.
Weidman, I think, broke his.
That was the fight before that.
Oh yeah, that was 261. Yeah, that was 261.
Yeah, Weidman. And the funny thing about that is, what's ironic is, Anderson Silva did that when he fought Weidman, and then when Weidman fought, he did that. You know, it's ironic.
It is ironic, yeah.
Crazy. So.
Definitely. Any other questions before we head off?
No, just thank you for your time and thank you for chatting with us.
Yeah, no problem, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely. We'll let you get back into your coaching. I know you got that in about 5 minutes, so we don't want to keep you to that. But we appreciate it. You're more than welcome to come on anytime you want. Just you got my contact info. Just hit me up whenever you want to come on, talk some fights, whatever. And if you can, for us, feel free to, I'll send you the link. Feel free to share the episode.
Awesome. Yep, share it with me.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
All right. You too. Thanks, Mark. Have a good night.
You too.